Is it Toronto fan? You tripping? Oh, we're dead. Turn 3. We just died on turn 3.
I know all the steps.
What do we have here? What do we have here?
What did you watch? Why people don't want to play WoW these days.
Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and today we're going to talk about a topic that's been building up for what feels like months now, and that is the state of Wild. And it's basically a place people don't want to play anymore. People aren't having fun, at least content creators. I can't speak for everybody in the Wild community or anything, but I've put together a list of basically tweets and suggestions and complaints about Wild, what's been a frustration with it, and maybe hopefully somebody at Blizzard sees this or has seen these comments and something can be done about it, because myself, as someone who has played Wild since day one, since it's been put in, I've hit Legend every single season, I can't think of a time honestly that it's been worse than what it is. We'll go into the specifics of what's going on, but I do hope that Blizzard at least sees this, listens to it, and maybe acts on some of this. Maybe not my concerns, but you know, what these content creators, what these people are putting out there. And if you're enjoying the content on the channel, you want to support the channel, please hit the sub button down below, give the video a like, it helps the channel out a ton. So you probably saw the intro, I got turn 3 lethaled. That's not exactly the exception to the rule right now. It's a high roll, but Pilgerogue has been a mainstay in Wild for over a year, has not been touched despite many cries for it. And I do want to say, before we get into all this, I do want to thank Blizzard for preemptively banning test subject. I don't think anybody really expected that, and it was a great thing, a great notion towards Wild that there are efforts being made. But the problem is we have seen so little action in Wild the past year or so. Things have boiled up to the point where people like Mediocre, who's been like top rank 1 legend multiple times within the last year, done with Hearthstone for the foreseeable future, not enjoyable anymore. Hopefully they do something to help Wild soon, but I've been hoping that for Wild, and that's like a common sentiment I'm seeing a lot of. And in the past year in Wild, think of all the balance changes we've seen in Standard. Like, we've seen patches with like 5, 6, 7, 8 nerfs alone. In the past year in Wild, all we've really seen is Apprentice to 4, which was like years overdue, Tome Tampering ban, Switcheroo ban, Cobalt Illusionist to 4 mana, and Test Subject being banned as well. So like 5 changes in like a year in a format that arguably probably needs more love and care with the huge spectrum of cards, a huge array of cards. It's pretty crazy, and you can see where we've got to this point. Get Meowth tweeted this just yesterday. No podcast episode this week. They do State of the Wild, a weekly podcast with Get Meowth, Corbett, and Raffle. The 3 of us aren't feeling the better right now and didn't want the episode to turn into non-stop complaining. I guess we'll do that for you. We got you covered, Get Meowth. We're working on some non-meta related episodes though, so we'll be back next week. The meta is so bad that people like Get Meowth and Raffle and Corbett are pretty good at spinning things in somewhat more of a positive message. You know, trying their best. They can't sugarcoat it. They don't even want to talk about it. It's that bad. Memnarch, another high rank Wild legend player. Raffle quote tweeted, we're gonna go over this thread by Martian, which is the inspiration, a big inspiration to this video. I want to basically try and give it a bigger spotlight if I can, if I have a bigger spotlight or whatever. Talk to Martian about it. He's all on board for it. But Raffle talking about someone who tries to play off meta decks. The format feels as restrictive for that type of gameplay as it's ever been. We'll go into the reasons for that as well. And I thought a really good thread was by Engine. We had our podcast for like a heartbeat. I don't know if it'll come back, but Engine was a part of it with Theo, and he's a Wild content creator saying Wild is not fun and hasn't been fun for over a year. Barring a brief intermission with Renathal, zero signs this will be acknowledged, let alone fixed, I don't know. Streamers stream less, viewers watch less, a lack of care for the format leads to a less engagement with the game and therefore lost revenue. It's in the company's interest to make it fun. Meanwhile, every Twitch stream is full of negativity from viewers and often from streamers too, because there's nothing fun to do more while still maintaining viewership revenue, whatever they're worried about. I am down a full 100 viewership from the pre-Renathal nerf now, which really, that nerf really did hurt Wild more than Standard, and I wish they could have had a Wild-only Renathal just for Wild. It felt so appropriate there. And yet I found myself barely even caring because no one else does. There's legitimately zero hope or reason to think anything is going to change anymore, and this has to do a lot with the silence, and that's why I would love for Blizzard to give some hope to players. They're just asking for anything, and it's been nothing but silence for months and months and months outside of like, it's on our radar, things like joke about the radar, but all we get is radio silence, pure static, absolutely fed up with pretending that we're excited for the next product or mini set now, or that everything is hunky-dory from the perspective of a Wild player. No, it isn't, and so many of us are fed up with this. How is Test Subject the only casualty of the last year of new releases? There were a couple other we mentioned, but again, there's so few, it's hard to remember. Standard streamers, admittedly playing the more popular format, always have the inevitability of balance changes to incentivize new content and continued engagement of both them and their audience. Wild only has the intense, crushing silence and lack of meaningful intervention engagement from Blizzard to further drive people away from the game. Yes, this is a problem for streamers and not most players in Plat and below, but aren't Blizzard missing a huge opportunity here? What am I missing? Who is benefiting from deliberately keeping Wild as an unfun mess of high rolling, zero agency, and uninteractive BS? Please someone tell me, because I don't understand. I love Hearthstone and have played since release. I'm set when I see my favorite way of playing languishing so you can probably tell, but I don't want to stop, but boy, that'd be better for my sanity. And it's just, this is what I hear every day from content creators and players, and it sucks because, again, why can't we just have fun with WoW? Why can't it be a mode? It wouldn't even take too much. And let's go into the thread by Martian, who really highlighted this really well. And if you don't follow Martian, highly recommend it. I'm going to link his Twitter below, his YouTube channel where he uploads gameplay, deck lists, reviews. Awesome guy, and I think he has a really good take on this. Wild is in one of the worst spots it's been right now, and it's not just because one thing is too popular or powerful. It's because no one thing is popular or powerful enough to get attention. That's the thing. The only time they ever deal with stuff in Wild historically is if there's one big outlier, and he uses an example: Shadow Essence always being, a problem in Wild. Grey Sage Parrot with Quest Mage, Cataclysm with Discard Warlock, the Tome Tampering ban didn't do the trick. Pillager Rogue, turn 3 lethals, like literally can happen. It's been really nice that we begin fast solutions to the worst offenders since around Skullman. So the problem is you're only available for balance if you are the worst possible offender. Looking at Hysteria, Cobalt Illusionist, Lightning Bloom, Kael'thas Sunstrider. Over time, a bunch of decks with play pattern problems have been accumulating as they slip under the cracks. Terrible to play against, but not bad enough to take over the meta. By itself, some of these are remedied by standard focus nerfs. Example, the Rogue Location, Flesh Giant, Raid the Docks, and Snowfall Guardian, although still really good in Wild. Right now, when you're facing a human on ladder, we're not even talking about the botting problem, it is likely they're playing a strategy where they do nothing or next to do nothing for the next few turns, and then kill you immediately from hand in turns 4 and 6. Aggro is less punishing for these type of decks than ever, despite aggro being really strong right now, because so many aggro players appear to be bots that play poorly, and the slowest of these type of decks to get to run invulnerability secrets to buy time. So you have like Ice Block, Timeout, which are used by like Pillager Rogue and Quest Mage. Whenever they do make change to these type of decks, Wild feels so fun again. So when we get one or two highly problematic and popular decks, it doesn't feel too bad because I have confidence they'll do something. We saw that with the Stealer ban, Rapid Fire getting nerfed, Apprentice to 4, and Switcheroo getting banned. Right now, though, we're dealing with the leftovers of several metas that produced Wild play patterns problems because of cards that aren't issues in Standard, and because it's a group that not a single deck, it just doesn't feel like the change is coming. I think Nathri proved that with just a bit of early pressure off, Wild can actually be fun. Nostalgic format where you can experiment with many of your old cards. In variety strategies that it should be. It just needs a lower bar for balance a little. And Prince Renethal, like I said, really did give that breathing room. I don't want standard frequency or philosophy for balance changes of Wild. I just think decks that reliably kill the opponent entirely from early in hand, the early turns, or cheat out an answerable level of stats in the early game turns should be toned down. And Martian goes on to make a bunch of suggestions suggestions. With Parrot being banned until rotation, I would skip straight to spells cost 6 or higher so it doesn't recast the Mage Quest, because all the meta decks in Standard don't use 5 cost spells anyways. This is a change I feel like should have happened a long time ago. Spectral Pillager nerfed to 7. Again, this should have happened ages ago, but when you double up Scabs, it's -6 mana, so Pillager goes to 1. You can't really reliably OTK the same way. Hell, you can make it 8, make it even more harder to accomplish. Illuminate ban, I straight up agree with that. It's going to be in Standard for a while, and it creates huge problems in Wild, especially Big Priest Shadow Essence for like 3 mana. You could coin it on 2. It is ridiculous. Fire Mantle Flurgle banned until rotation. The Toxfin Flurgle interaction giving Shaman basically guaranteed wipe against any board-based deck. Really oppressive. I would make Toxfin like 3 or 4 mana and give it the stats appropriate for, like, make it a 4 mana 4/4, something like that. Make it less flexible. I think Flurgle is okay. I just think when Flurgle exists, a card like Toxfin should be very expensive. Look at Acid Mod Dreadscale if you want a really bad comparison. Twig of the World Tree and Floop's Gloop, I agree with this, should refresh, not gain mana crystals. Cataclysm to 6, I also agree with. Slow down Discard Warlock. Sea Devil Stinger, nerf to 5. Don't see this a lot, but it'd be a good little preemptive thing. Slow down Sea Devil Stinger into Gigafin. You could even make it like you could cheat out a Murloc that costs the same amount or 5 or less or something. And that's just the coverage of like the hyper combo decks. So you're looking at the aggro decks like Pirate Rogue and Secret Mage. Those are super oppressive decks in their own way, but at the very worst, you could compete with them with armor gain, healing, all of that. You can't recover from an OTK because you're dead, and a lot of these, no armor can help you. So that's kind of the gist of what's going on in Wild, summarized by a lot of content creators rather than myself for once, just to put their voice out there, because I agree with pretty much everything they're saying, and I would just love for Blizzard to at least acknowledge the situation, say that they're aware of it, and at least that hopefully they can do something to address it, because the silence is absolutely deafening and the community really needs something right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.